So without further ado, I would like to invite the panel members for the first panel, which will be Building and Expanding International Entrepreneurial Ecosystems. And the panel members are Alexandra Choli, Serena Davis, John Fox, Miltiadis Gkouzouris, Yiannis Nikolopoulos, and of course, Susanna Terstal as a moderator.
Well, thank you so much for being here. In this panel, we will focus on the ecosystem around innovation and entrepreneurship in Greece. How has it developed? Who is taking part? And who else should become part? What is missing and how can the Netherlands contribute? What is the role of the wider ecosystems? These are some of the issues we will discuss. But before we start, I think it's good if you give a very short introduction about yourself. Miltiadis, can I start with you?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ambassador. So my name is Miltiadis Gkouzouris. I'm currently the CEO of HVA International. We are a company that got established in 1879 and is dealing with setting up large-scale agricultural projects. My connection to the Orange Grove is that I was one of the founding members with Ambassador Jan Verstee, who was the inspiration behind this idea. And back then, Greece was going through a crisis of brain drain, so we came up with this, which I will also tell you a small anecdote. The first name of Orange Grove was Hellenic House. Holland Hellenic House, but then I explained to them that Helleni in Greek means stagnation, so we came up with Orange Grove. Thank you very much.
Thank you. How
Alexandra?
can I follow that now? Thank you. So, hello everyone. My name is Alexandra Choli. At the moment, I'm working on impact investing. I'm actually working on a new venture, a new impact fund called EPAGON. I'd love to talk to you about it sometime. I've been working with Orange Grove ever since the beginning. Actually, we've collaborated. I've been honored to be part of this family. I feel it's the warmest, I guess, people and very purposeful and driven essentially by what they do. So I have been, I guess, very proud and honored to be part of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. John.
Hi, my name is Yiannis John Fox. I've been to Athens so many times because of Orange Grove, for which I'm grateful. I've come to be, a panel member on the Squeeze pitching competitions to help mentor startups. I love coming here because it allows me to give back in ways that opportunity has been given to me. I'm a software engineer. I've been at numbers of startups, but 8 years ago I started working at a startup called Netflix, and I'm a software engineer working on the iPhone app. I'll pass it to Serena.
Thank you, Serena.
So I'm Serena Davis. I'm from HippoSeeds. I have working on an impact fund, a little different than Alexandra, more purpose-driven founders, less tech. But so I lived in the Netherlands for 7 years, came to Greece, and it was I came before the crisis, but then the crisis came, and I started hanging out at all of the impacts, or at all of the startup places that were developing. And then I noticed that there was some curriculum sort of missing, a sort of structured formation. Then I went to Natasha and Alexandra with this idea of let's put together a 12-week program. And they jumped on it, and Alexandra built it into something incredible and then brought other people in, fantastic trainers, and it's really developed a lot. It's been absolutely amazing to be part of.
Thank you, Serena. Yiannis.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yiannis Nikolopoulos. I'm the co-founder and CEO in ClioMuse Tours. ClioMuse Tours is one of the first startups in Orange Grove. I think we are one of the oldest members. It has tremendously helped my company in how we build, how we organize the stuff, the business ethics that we were taught from all those mentors that are here with us today and the coaches. And as my way to pay forward what Orange Grove has done for my company and me personally, I'm a member of the board in Orange Grove for the past years. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start with the questions. Alexandra, I'm going to start with you. You know the Greek ecosystem inside out. You were the first one to start an acceleration program, Metavalum. Then you started investing in startups and transitioned into impact investment. Could you make a comparison between then and now? What has changed?
Right, so that's a great question. I'm gonna say it with a story, I guess. What has changed? I mean, everything. I returned in 2011. I was actually in the US at the moment at that time, and I returned to start my first nonprofit to create the first essentially incubator in the country. And at that point, there was really nothing here. So no support structures, no initiatives around startups, no investors, well, no startups. So that's another thing that we worked with Orange Grove as well. Just painting a picture also, that was in 2011, for the first couple of years, the word startup was not in our vocabulary. It was not something that you could tell people. My family didn't know what I was doing for the first, couple of years. So as we started seeing some people, so we worked initially with universities to attract the people that we thought were highly talented and driven, and they wanted to make use of their, education to create something. Initially, we would see single founders with some idea. And next year, we would see a team working on a little bit more advanced idea. And then so every year was a little bit more mature. Then we had initiatives also start very, very soon, like Orange Grove came in, and we're starting seeing people actually creating something and putting it in the market, and that was a big shift at that point. So 2013, 2014, we're starting to see startups. And the word actually being recognized, and that was very exciting. The ecosystem essentially was starting to be created because really there was no ecosystem. So with Orange Grove, we pretty much experienced the birth of an ecosystem, and that was very exciting. We also started seeing some government initiatives at that point. So that was very, very important because at that point we had the Jeremy funds that were created for smaller funds across the spectrum. So it was both tech and, growth, well, not startups, I guess. So some investment capital, some risk capital that is really important so that you can advance essentially the ecosystem. Investors starting, like the early adopters, starting to put money in and starting seeing results. So that's also when we started the accelerator program. We started putting small tickets because we saw that critical mass. And then we have the huge shift, I guess, around 2017, 18, where we have a big government initiative with the Equifund. And at that point, I also want to say that even the legal system was not there. So during that time, we had the creation of the IKE. IKE is a recent thing. It's not something that we used to have. It was really difficult to start a business back then. So there are a lot of things that kind of were created the past 10 years. So we have Equifund, and we have now funds and angel investment starting to arise and starting to see success stories. So acquisitions, big companies coming and acquiring and creating hubs here, talent hubs, not just taking something and leaving. So right now what we see is something completely different, very lively, very with a great, I guess, momentum moving forward, and very exciting to see what's next. And I hope it's impact investing.
Thank you very much. And what is next? I'm going to ask you about, Serena, because you have a lot of experience in the US, South Africa, just to name a few countries. And you have been the lead trainer for our incubation programs. So how do you look at the ecosystem here? Where does it stand now, and where do you think it's going, or where should it be going?
So from the trainer side, what's happened with in the beginning was just taking people's thoughts in the ideation phase. That's where it was. Like, I had this kind of thought, and how do we ideate it? Now where we're at is a lot of, they have, you know, the idea, and now it's the product market match, going out and finding, is there this idea I have, who are my customers, what's the product market match, and then sort of start scaling. And looking at that, we have a great trainer in Daria for that. So that's the difference that's growing on the training side. On the investor side, with the first influx of the Equifunds, a lot of it was distributed to banks, and the you know, it was great, the money was great, but I sat on one of these banking boards, and you could see, because I come from the US, from venture capital in the US, they didn't quite understand investment. So they looked at it more banking, loan, risk, you know, and every time you say, well, obviously it's a risk, I mean, you know, let's move forward, that type of thing. So the investors have evolved, and thankfully now we have entrepreneurs who are actually making the decisions, and that's been very key in evolving the investor side. We're getting more and more people internationally to come here to see that this is a place to be. One of the statistics that got me super excited in Greece was that from a patents perspective, Greece is 6 out of 140, but from the investment side, it was 136 out of 140. That seems like a huge mismatch. And the universities are really great. They're producing really smart people, excited, everything like this, and then it's like they hit this wall, this accelerate, they stop. And that was happening also at the places like Orange Grove, where you go through good curriculum and then you just kind of stop, you know. So what I would like to see, and it's happening and it will happen, is a much more robust angel investor, you know, network, that kind of thing. What happened in Austin, Texas, which is where I started in venture capital, was that when Dell Computer went public, there were 27 Dellionaires overnight. That because of the, you know, their experience from that, the angel investment money was just flowing. It was like, here, take 10,000, take 15,000. They were still excited and happy. So that's what I would like to see kind of mature, to add into everything. Of course, I agree, everything.
Thank you. John, I go to you. You have been part of this ecosystem almost from the start. And you have mentored many startups, and you judged in squeezy competitions. How do you look back at those 10 years and the network around it? What is its role, and what do you see as its development?
Thanks so much for the question. More than anything else, I see a trajectory of tremendous improvement and a growing and justified self-confidence among the people who are coming through Orange Grove. You know, when I was first coming here and seeing some of the pitches, they were very academic. You would have, you know, mostly students fresh out of the classroom, and they would put up on a slide, you know, 15 lines of text, completely illegible, and you got the sense that there was some brilliance there, but it was completely invisible, and it kind of personally broke my heart, because I've been there, you know, much less on the genius side, but having a core of a good idea and unable to you know, get it across. And in a world where you have to compete for people's attention now in, like, you know, half-second intervals, because you're a swipe away, even if they're not holding their phone mentally, you're a swipe away, the ability to crystallize what it is that you're doing and explain it in a way that people can get it right away is a fundamental skill for being successful in this world in whatever field. So if I think about the last time I was here, which was this past fall in 2022, I was floored by the increase in quality of the pitches, you know, kind of the improvement in the slide decks. There were still plenty of, there's always room to improve, but the baseline was much higher, and I sensed a level of confidence. And I would say that basically, if you want to know what's happening in a society, talk to a mom, talk to a grandmother, talk to a taxi driver. And if you're lucky, you might come across people who are almost all three, because they will give you an idea of what's actually happening in the world here. And one of the things that really struck me with the last pitch competition was I guess I'm allowed to name names, but grandma, you know, grandmama, because that was something that was representative of what the opportunity I think exists here in Greece, because oftentimes, the idea will be, okay, well, we understand that the startup thing is popular around the world, and we see what happens in the Bay Area, so let's try and make Silicon and then fill in the blank. Silicon Prairie, Silicon Alley, Silicon whatever, and you could do that, but I don't think that that's the successful path. And it's not really what's needed for the local society. And so what you see here, you have brilliant universities, all the unbelievable attributes of Greece dating back forever. You all have been around for a while, you've seen some things. There's a lot of wisdom and a lot of energy. And if you marry them all together and give people from a wide variety of backgrounds the confidence, the angel investment, the environment to be able to hone skills, which are learnable, then you can have something that would be a model for lots of other countries and not a poor facsimile of Silicon Valley.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Because I see in the past 2 years that I have been here, I can see already that change in the startups and what they represent. And Grandma is a good example, I think. The last time I was there to welcome new entrepreneurs, I also saw there was more diversity.
Exactly.
And what can be done to increase that diversity?
Well, I think it starts by making it very clear that there's a seat for everyone, and that people are welcome, people with a wide variety of of backgrounds. At a company like Netflix, we have to produce content and software platforms that feel like they were made in every country for the country that's there. And if problems that exist in the world affect everybody. It's not like climate change is only hitting young people or you walk outside and you see it, it's real. It's real for everyone. And so I think if you can't bring everyone to the table to bring their perspective and bring their wisdom and bring their energy and find the complementary attributes of human beings, you're not going to come to a good result. So I cannot wave the flag, enthusiastically enough of get mom, get grandma, get everybody at the table.
Yeah, thank you. Miltiadis, I go to you. You have many different hats. I start only slowly discovering that. But your Orange Grove hat is that you wrote the first business plan. You said something about the name. And you were one of the first mentors. So we would really like to hear your opinion on the developments in the Greek startup ecosystem over the last 10 years. What is your view on this ecosystem in general, and what has changed since that first business plan?
Right, that's thank you for the question. When we started thinking about Orange Grove, the need for establishing something like Orange Grove came out of the situation in reality out there. So Greece was going through a crisis, and young people would leave the country to seek for a better job and better opportunities elsewhere. So the idea was to create an environment where people could develop their ideas they would have after graduating from university or after having worked some years somewhere, and giving them a platform where they could learn how to present these ideas better, perhaps find funding and get the kind of coaching that is required for any startup to develop correctly an idea and make a real chance of turning it into a profitable business. So that need back then created the incubator type of facility where you get all kinds of assistance from the Netherlands. And I must also stress how important it was that the country, why would a country from abroad come to the Netherlands, to Greece, to develop that? That's because of solidarity, because of the European thinking that the Netherlands always was having, and also now with the floods in Thessaly, is the Netherlands again coming here to provide any kind of know-how that there is there. So this kind of attitude, that's first and foremost something that needs to be brought forward. So Orange Grove started out of this need to help Greece prevent the brain drain. That was really the biggest wound back then of Greece, because if you don't have the young people with the right mindset, with the right degrees, to bring the country and the economy forward, then you're like killing a nation in a way. Many things changed ever since, luckily for the better. The few past years we've been successful into combating crises that were of mondial scale, and we've seen that there is an administration in Greece which knows how to deal with crisis, and the government, together with civilians, with people, with the citizens of Greece, they look into the right direction, to my opinion. And now we need to do the following. We need to bring back those people that left. So we need to shift from a brain drain into a brain gain modus. So if one would ask me what is necessary to be done right now, is to find a way to lure the people that left the country to come back again, under the right circumstances and perhaps with some right coaching, because I can imagine that if you are a scientist working in the UK and you have a brilliant salary and you have a great working environment but also living environment, it's a big step to return to Greece. And although I hear from many Greeks who also apply for jobs in our company in the Netherlands, and they have the right background and everything, it's very difficult for them to picture how exactly they need to make this step. So I would look into a direction which would help people, a platform or something like this, to make this step and the transition easier. And then I am confident that once this is get going, once one sheep is over the dam, as we say in the Netherlands, then the other sheep will follow. Something like this is hopefully what I would like to see happening.
This also sounds like an idea for a startup. Who can help with that? Actually.
Absolutely, yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Yiannis, you're the entrepreneur who came through the whole Orange program, and you have been very successful. You're one of the first, right? Looking back, what helped you most at the start? And how do you look at the ecosystems that have been created around Orange Grove since then? And there's one other thing I'm going to add to this immediately, because you talked about a map you made with all the people and all the networks you had access to through Orange Grove. Can you also say something about that?
Yes, of course. So let me start from the first question. What did Orange Grove do for us? I think it gave us a tremendous network. And also back then, in Orange Grove, we had to, like every 2 or 3 months, we had to explain the progress we've made. And if we didn't have enough progress, then someone would talk to us, and perhaps we would be sent out of the program, which is a very nice thing to do, but in Greece it doesn't happen that much. And I'm referring to how many Greek kids are still living with their parents. So you see a difference in those two countries, let's say, perception of letting go, of getting outside of your comfort zone and what you can achieve if you do that. And there is a very nice saying that we have in our office that says that if you seek growth, be prepared for the uncomfortness of leaving your comfort zone, which is very nice. So what did Orange Grove do for us? I think it shaped the whole culture. I mean, we were with Miltiadis writing our own first business, let's say, the Excel on the costing of our business, which we kept for many years. We talked with mentors back then. They helped us shape the right culture, the right momentum. They helped us hire the best talent around. And of course, it gave us access to a very nice network of people like Serena, like John, Alexandra, Miltiadis, and everybody in the audience. And it gave us, and all startups that took part in this program, and it still gives access to startups in this program, the freedom, let's say, the courage to knock on Serena's door and send a message on perhaps John's messenger and say, listen, I have a problem. Can you help me? Can you share some ideas? And most of those mentors and coaches and entrepreneurs and business owners and CEOs and C-level executives around the world that are somehow connected to Orange Grove, if you ask the right question, if they know the answer, if they have something to share, they will do it. I don't know why. I think you do something, the embassy does something, but if you ask the right question, if you seek help, they will give it to you. So it has helped us in many, many ways. Now about the map. Okay, so this is a private story. I'm not sure Unifund, our investors, would like me to share this publicly, but it's been many, many years. Anyways, so we've been discussing with them. We've been showing them our numbers before the tourism season. And they told us, okay, let's see what results you bring after the summer, because our company makes most of its revenues during summer. And let's talk about it when the summer ends. So we waited. And the summer ended, and we thought our numbers were very, very good. But always investors are looking for even bigger numbers. And again, this is the right question from their side. So in a discussion, they told us, listen, we're not very sure that we will proceed with you. Do you have anything else to share about your business? And I said, okay, I will come first thing tomorrow morning. And I took a big piece of paper, the one that you have on flip charts, and actually I used one of the flip charts in Orange Grove. And I put down the years in a column, like 2018, that we started selling the tourism season, 2012. And underneath every year, I put bullets of people, of companies, of organizations that we had met on our own or through Orange Grove, and how we created a network and how everyone recommended us and our services to other people, to other organizations. And that was done with zero marketing budget, just with being ourselves, practicing the business ethics that we were taught in Orange Grove by the staff and the ambassadors. And I was a little frustrated again, because I've been waiting the whole summer for a yes, for a positive answer, and I got the cold feet from them, and I was frustrated. So I drew this map, and the next day I went to the office, and I said, I'm not going to talk to you, I will just show you a map. And if you think that we did this with zero budget, imagine what we can do if you give us that kind of money. And I started explaining, bullet by bullet, who we had met, through which opportunity, what this had led to, and they tried to stop me at 2016, but I continued until 2018, so I explained 4 years of growth, organic growth, through the network, through our own, let's say, consistency. And I guess it worked. They gave us the first money that helped us hire more people. So I think we started 3 people in Orange Grove, and then we became 5 people organically. And when we took that money, I think we reached like 10 people, and now we are 39. Yeah.
Wow, that's an impressive story, Yiannis. I also think you answered your own question in a way, because you said, I don't know why they gave me this advice. But look at you, you're sitting in that chair because you started and you're giving back. You're doing the same thing. So, well, this was the first round. We're going to the second round now. I think these questions and answers gave an idea about the situation in Greece. We talked already a little bit about things that we could improve or where it is going. But what do you see is still missing in the Greek ecosystem, and which people are we missing? Can I start with you, Miltiadis?
Yes. Well, what we do miss is the right initiatives, like Orange Grove, but then with another purpose, of course.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there are many incubators. The whole ecosystem has been developed properly, and it's thriving. But then we need to develop again, to my opinion, this brain gain ecosystem somehow. So we're missing this kind of mentality with initiatives that will start leading the path, showing the path of this kind of development.
Martha, Natasha, you're listening. Alexandra.
What I would like to see more is better connection with the world, essentially. So a lot more extroversion. So I think Greece is a really beautiful country, and you create something great and still small, and it looks big, and you're excited, and everyone's excited around you, and this kind of creates a distortion about how much more actually you can do. It's not that this is small, it's that you can be doing so much more. So when you connect also, globally, internationally, then you can get more ideas, you can have a lot more, get knowledge, you can also increase your ambition. And we should increase our ambition because we can be doing so much more. So absolutely, that's what I would like to see more.
Thank you. John?
Thinking with my engineer brain, I would say kind of more hackathons, more pointed efforts to say, here's a particular problem we're going to try to solve, and find a reasonable context in which to solve it, then assemble a team from this existing scene that you have here, and give a reasonable amount of time to solve a particular problem. So it's pretty common in software engineering worlds. Like, we're going to have a 24-hour hackathon. We're going to pull out the Domino's credit card and let the beer and Coca-Cola flow, and that's good. You can get something, but I'm talking something a little bit longer period of time, maybe a quarter or half a year, to be able to say, could we I'm making this up, in a particular resort, convince people to use to not use so much plastic, for example. A simple example. Could you do something to be able to change behaviors on that? Because there are lots of existing problems that are very clear to understand, see, but what we don't know is could you bring software and technology to bear to solve it? And it doesn't take a whole lot of money, I don't think, to be able to incentivize people for doing it. And you can learn. You can learn so much. So yes, each effort is not going to result in a new billion-dollar company, but it would probably change the trajectory in a couple of people's lives, and you don't know, you can see where it goes from there.
Thank you. Serena.
So to add to all the very good points that have been made, I think I want to ask from the startups, but also ask from the investor side. So from the startups to think more internationally, to become more investor ready. They have to think beyond the pitch deck. Just assume that they're going to like your idea. Now, what's next? And some of that is also, preparing a playbook. How will you expand internationally? There's methodologies for that. Everything is kind of methodology. And from the investor side, again, to reiterate about the angel side, Greece has a kind of fear factor, allergy that doesn't really happen in the U.S. We don't dwell on fear very much. On failure very much. So, and I think that angel investor side needs to come into where it's like, if you're an angel investor, you're not investing with the same type of structure that a VC is. Like, just you have your hobbies, let's just start putting that in. And so I think to challenge both sides on, that's the next step. That's really would be great to see.
Thank you. Yiannis.
So I would like to see two things, and I hope many people in this room can help us achieve that. One is, how do we give more visibility to businesses and startups that have been achieving loads of stuff, but they did not have the time or the access to visibility. There have been many success stories that we don't know about, but people are working, and they're not working just in a bunch of companies, but in too many companies. And some of our Greek companies are being awarded abroad for their sustainability practices. So I think that we should have those success stories promoted more and more. One. And two, I think Greece is the right size. It's not that big, it's not that small. And the size, I'm seeing this in our company as well. As you increase in size, you lose some flexibility. So startups can be the right size to experiment and find more sustainable and innovative ways for things to be done. And we see big companies acquiring startups that have found a way to solve a problem differently that is more sustainable for our planet. And again, I think Greece could be that kind of hub. As a country, we could promote more sustainable practices and so our European partners and our partners not only in the EU but also abroad, how we can do it differently. So these two things, I think, empowerment for successful companies that don't have that kind of visibility yet, and then adoption of sustainable practices on a country level.
Thank you very much. Yeah, John?
Greece, the Goldilocks country.
Today is a celebration. It's 10 years of Orange Grove. You told a lot about the ecosystem here, where we are going, but I'm sure you have lots of Orange Grove stories, anecdotes. Can I ask you all for an Orange Grove anecdote or something personal about Orange Grove that you'd like to share? And then we still have a bit of time for 1 or 2 questions. Yeah, please start.
Okay. Well, I already told one of these about the name. And while I was listening also to the answers of the colleagues here on the panel, I was thinking of the lack of extrovert mentality from Greece. It's more like, it reminds me of this parable that they told us at the business school about the young elephant in the circus that has been tied with a chain when it was a young little elephant. So he was trying to break the chain and he couldn't. And after years, when the elephant became a huge animal and could easily break such a small chain, still kept thinking that I can't break it. And that's what's happening many times with Greece. Maybe we don't believe enough that we can make it out there. And through Orange Grove, there were examples of small companies that really made it out there with big companies. And that's a very important thing to make this switch from thinking. And looking into, for example, our company, HVA, a Dutch company that exists over 140 years, I look into the history, and so what was this company doing? Always looking outwards, not in the Netherlands. If we would focus in the Netherlands, we would never make whatever we've done so far. So we were always active in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, never in the Netherlands. And this outward looking helped a lot, of course, combined with a very solid system of embassies that are supporting us wherever we go in a country. The Netherlands Embassy is connecting us to the right people. So this is an ecosystem that has been built by the Netherlands very cleverly, although it's a similar country in size and population, much smaller in size, a bit bigger in population. But other than that, I mean, we're both sea nations. We have many, many similar things. So Greece can do it only if they just believe in it and start working in that direction. Sorry, that was not a story, of course, from Orange Grove. From Orange Grove, I can tell the story of how it started. So I returned from a trip in Bangladesh, and it was on a Tuesday, and I received a message from Jan Versteeg, the then ambassador of the Netherlands, who says, do you have time for lunch this week? I want to discuss something with you. So I said, sure. So we went there with Ms. Sofia Komna and Robert Jan Sieben, back then first secretary of the embassy. And Jan Versteeg started explaining about this concept he had in mind about helping prevent the brain drain. So he started describing an incubator, and he said, well, what could we expect in Greece in difficulties, etc.? You as a Greek and Sofia as a lawyer can perhaps tell us. So I started explaining from my point of view, the business side, like, okay, maybe you should do this and maybe you should do that. And you need a business plan. And I said, I can write a business plan if you want, but I need a one-pager. So he flips an A4 from his pocket and says, you mean something like this? So that was it. I just had to write the business plan then. And that Friday, so in Friday night, it was 10:30 p.m., I sent the email with his business plan. And the next Monday, Jan Versteeg flew to the Netherlands to get permission from the parliament, of Frans Timmermans, back then the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And then the week after, we were already speaking about doing it, implementing it. And that was amazing. And one more funny thing, he said, it was May, if I'm not mistaken, And he says, what about starting in September? I say, well, next September, that would be great. No, he says, I mean this September, in a few months. So that's how we did it. Thank you very much.
That's really nice to hear. In Orange Grove, there are more orange groves now in different places over the world. Alexandra.
Right, so that September, I was at Orange Grove. No, just joking. I hope that I can translate this or really explain what I have, because it's more a feeling. My story or thought of Orange Grove, and it's the kitchen at the co-working space. And the reason it's the kitchen is because, first of all, I guess the entire space was very much ingrained with what Orange Grove represented, which was collaboration and approachability. I mean, we've heard the stories here, and I think it's becoming very apparent. Like collaboration and approachability, extroversion, so people from anywhere. So that's what actually happened in the kitchen. You would enter the kitchen. Also, there were no walls, so there were those wooden boards that you would move around. So every time you would enter the kitchen, it was a little bit different because it was either smaller or bigger. So it was always a little bit of a different space. And you would find people there and just start conversation. It could be anyone. It could be, a mentor visiting, someone from outside of the country, the startups working there. So, and you would have the most incredible conversations. It could be simple, or it could be, I have a problem with my business, let's talk about it. And I just love that. It's like so representative. Thank you.
It sounds amazing. John.
Well, I'm seeing on the countdown timer, we have a core meltdown in 2 minutes, 21 seconds. So I'll be quick. If y'all have been outside in the area there, you see that there's kind of a greatest hits video through the years. And I walked in and I see some video of me in a pink hat when Natasha arrived in frame. So of course I snapped that, but it is instructive and it's personally gratifying. I think that what it means is that if some guy from California can show up in a pink hat and be a judge and talk to the startups, it helps give a comfort level for people that you can be yourself and bring all yourself and all your ideas for what it is that gives you, lights up your heart and mind. And since we have to be on the theme of always thanking Natasha, I can say that one of the conversations in the kitchen at Orange Grove led to some of the thinking that went into something I worked on for a year and a half called My Netflix. So thank you, Natasha. Serena.
Thank you, John. Serena.
I had been a mentor for a while. In 2016, was approached for a different project on starting the idea of social entrepreneurship in Greece. And I went to Orange Grove and I said, could I have here I want to give a presentation about what is social entrepreneurship in 2016, and immediately was supported. And now it's just so natural that the SDG house is coming, because this thinking was always there and was always supported. And so that's one story I want to tell. I have, I'm sure Natasha and Alexandra are hoping I don't tell any stories because I have not the most appropriate humor, so I promise not to do that on video.
Yiannis.
But maybe in private later.
Everybody turn off the camera. Go ahead.
Okay, so many years, so many stories. Alexandra's stories reminded me how I used to walk barefoot in Orange Grove, and how one startup's problem was every startup's problem, and we would discuss together and find the best solution for everyone. So that kind of networking within the teams, within different startups from different industries, it has been the best brainstorming that can happen to a startup. And a second story that I remember is when we took part in the squeeze competition, my first slide was, "Why should you name your cow?" This story came from the embassy's staff, actually. It refers to a picture you have in the offices of the embassy. It turns out that if you name your cow, it produces 4% more milk. And why is that? Usually cows with a name come from little family farms where cows are given much more care, let's say, and kindness, so they tend to produce more milk. But it was a very good opening line because we won that competition with this slide.
We still have that picture. Thank you. You guys did it. It's 0 seconds. I promised a question, and now I have to look at Maurits. Yeah, can we? Because here it says 0 seconds, but I can do one, right? Oh, okay. Okay. So we're fine with questions, and I can imagine that you have a lot of questions for this panel. Who dares to ask the first question?
Happy birthday. My name is Nikolopoulos. I have been a coach with Orange Grove since 2014, January. And I'm very moved with everyone's comments. So my question is to all of you. If you had one word that you would say, what is Orange Grove for you? What would it be? And we can start with Miltiadis.
Please.
I think it qualifies for a child.
Alexandra.
For me, it's more of a feeling of warmth.
I'll say explosive.
Collaboration.
Family.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay, a big thank you for these interesting and very insightful also anecdotes. I loved it myself. I learned a lot about Orange Grove. Maurits, it's over to you. Maurits is introducing everybody, but he has not been introduced. Maurits is the number 2 in our embassy. So thank you, Maurits.
Thank you,
and thank
Susanna.
you.